Everyone listening, if you're in a position where you want to grow your network, there is something so special that hit me like a ton of bricks to the face. It's just that. Is like you can hit someone up and be like, hey, I have a quick question. How did you go about creating this piece of art? Like, I would love to do that. How are you using AI? What I'm getting at is they won't get back to you. But you put the word podcast in there and they're just like, all right, I'll carve out a whole 3 hours for you. And you're like, wait, what? I don't know. Podcast is a strange word. It works. And I highly encourage people to start one. Not only is it educational for yourself, you can put good content out for others. That's the hack.
The mullets are back in season. I'm here with my good friend Bunzy. We actually were sitting here talking for a second. I went on to his show. It had to be 4 or 5 months ago, and so we were waiting to kind of return the favor so that it wasn't too close. But it also feels like yesterday. I can't remember. But last time I talked with Bunzy, dude, he was kind of just like feeling out the NFT space, you know, doing some shit posting. Since then, dude, the Pineapple Workshop's taken off. This guy's on Ordinal Wallet Twitter Spaces all day. This guy's in the center of Ordinals. He's in the center of the mullets. He's got to have to take some miracle grow to really grow that mullet out, man. Dude, the memes are A class, dude. I absolutely love it. So I was like, all right, it's the time. The time is now to talk because we all love experimenting, and you're somebody who's also experimenting and having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, damn, what an intro. This is super overdue, and I'm super excited and thankful to come on and kind of be on the other side of the mic. It's easy always asking the questions and just, you know, but I'm excited, you know, to, you know, let people know more about me. Like who's Bunzy? Like, why is he doing this? And the answer is I don't really know, but we'll find out. But fuck around and find out. But no, it has been an amazing experience, I think. You know, just putting my head down, you know, I have this saying like ideas are cute, but execution is where it's at. So I had a whole bunch of stuff, and instead of telling people to do it, I'm going to experiment with it. And if it doesn't work, I'm not going to tell other people to do it because I can say, hey, I tried it. That doesn't work. And just point people in the right direction because software and data is all about testing. And that's my background. So I like to test, have fun, and add some mullets in the vibe. I mean, let's get some pogger in the chat. But yeah,
dude, the mullets are really bringing back the like 80s and 90s vibes, and we're starting to see that kind of trickle just into society. I was over at one of my friend's house the other day, and her son is in high school, and he was playing some like online game that's all like 8-bit stuff, and I was like watching him play it, and he's like, yeah, 8-bit is like getting popular again. And I'm like, we got 8-bit, we got mullets, dude, we got pogs, we got all the 90s cartoons coming into the NFT space. It's finally our time.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I think it makes sense for the addressable market in NFTs right now because, I mean, hey, like, let's think about who's really into this tech. They like collectibles. They, you know, most likely like Pokemon cards, have this mindset, you know, and I see the correlation. Does it make sense? I don't know. Like, what really does make sense, but it's crazy. I was reading a book recently too, and it's like in time of like, and it's interesting to associate it with this, but like in times of like despair, people like to go back into nostalgia and like go back to what was nice and what they remember. And in times of like everything's like a bull or whatever, everyone thinks future. So I don't know. I don't know if that relates, but you know, maybe we're in a bear and like people like the nostalgia. I just thought I'd bring that up because I've been thinking about that recently. I don't know how much truth's there, but I can see the idea.
I think there's definitely a lot of truth. There's actually a point in my life, because I'm from Vegas, used to work in the clubs and had all the fun stuff. My life got quite wild, and so I actually got sober for 3 years. And when I was sober, I started listening to classic rock again. And that was like kind of like nice. what I grew up on, right? I showed you my pictures of my mullets from back in the day.
Dude, that's just the best part about this is like it's humanizing so much stuff. Like, I don't know. Yeah, we'll get to it later, but something about mullets is like, I don't know what happened, but just that, like you sharing a photo is just like, dude, you're not just a PFP anymore. It's like it humanizes all this stuff. I don't know, but please continue.
No, but I just the whole point was that I hadn't listened to classic rock in like 15 years, and then during that like low point in my life, I started listening to classic rock again. And I think it's because it makes you feel comfortable when you're like uncertain, or when you're just aware that whatever you're going through is about to change and there's going to be something different on the other side. So you're kind of like you're kind of just like confiding in your nostalgic view or just things that make you comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, to me, and it sounds like to you, it makes sense. You know, it can be a stretch, but a lot of this stuff is a stretch. But I don't know. I found that interesting, and I associate a lot of that to this technology, and especially like the pixels, the crypto punks. Yes, it was a restriction of the technology, but there's something that's we resonate with it. Like especially our generation. It reminds us of like when we were playing Nintendo, Super Nintendo, blowing on cartridges. And there's something so innocent and fun about that. And I don't know what it triggers, but I love pixel art. And that's how I make sense of it in my mind, because I mean, if you read it on paper, it's like, that's so, I don't know, but that's kind of how
this
I
placement,
like to think of it.
It does not make sense. What doesn't make sense, dude, is kind of your trajectory. Although it maybe will make more sense of it once we go through this conversation. You said that you began in the world of computer science, and now you're shit posting mullets, right? There is a crossover. There is a crossover there. But tell us, I mean, like, where everyone is seeing your face for the first time, or maybe one of the first times, since we're recording this right before NFT NYC, and this will be posted after NFT NYC. So we've probably shared a few beers at this point as well. But tell us a little bit about who Bunzy is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a great big question. And now I know how guests on my show feel. They're just like, whoa, where do I start? All right. But I mean, I'm Bunzy. Online, and I started the name Bunzy because I just my past career was music. I released music for around 8 years. I toured doing it, was able to have a full career, released under Kicks and Licks, garnered, a lot of attention online, millions of views on several different songs that kind of just took off, kind of like mullets, right? It just like went out there, one song hit, and I was like, holy smokes. Like, an agency hit us up, and I did this with my buddy Andy. We started Kicks and Licks after some of these singles started to take off, and we just ran with it. So that happened, and around 5-6 years into it, I was like, hey, I need something more stable. It's really hard. The music industry is crazy. So had my fun. Didn't grow up traveling that much, but that allowed me to see North America 4 times. Like I toured North America 4 times, Europe once, and really opened my eyes to like, wow. There's so much out there. So that was awesome. And then kind of towards the end of my 20s, I was like, damn, seeing friends like getting married, like Lloyd, I was like, I'm fucking scrapping, releasing electronic music, playing shows, and it was great. But long story short, was like, I need something more stable. I've always kind of been self-taught in software, like using software and stuff. And I just continued learning how to I made all my own sites when I was doing that, all my own graphics for the singles. So, I mean, I've just lived on my computer my whole life, basically. So I just started teaching myself programming, getting strange freelancing jobs, and was like, all right, I need to go to a coding boot camp and learn how to build apps. So I did that. And then kind of the rest is history on the dev side of things. But what got me into crypto was mining. I started mining crypto in like 2019. A buddy of mine who I bought computer parts from had a huge warehouse, whole bunch of GPUs running. He was mining Chia, mining everything. He just would basically, he had a refurbished business where he would buy or bulk offices and he'd fix stuff, mainly GPUs. So I bought a bunch of refurbished GPUs from him, set them up in my garage at that apartment. I didn't pay for electricity in my garage. So I hope the landlord's not listening to this. If you are, thank you. And just had that thing pumping. It was great. And it started to make sense to me because I bought the top basically of the 2017. Well, on the way down, I was like, all right, it's going to go back. But luckily I held it all the way through and it recovered really nicely. But I bought it when on its way down. Didn't really do much with crypto until I started mining. And ever since that, I saw the terminal just hashing. I was like, dude, this tech, it just resonated with me. I'm like, I'm contributing to a network. And that's when like everything was like, pfft. It really made sense to me. I was like, this is so badass. And I just had this vision of the future of like people in their living rooms with like hydro plants and like a miner next to them. I don't know, just like elegant, but like everyone's contributing to like oxygen with their plants and networks. And I don't know, I was just like, this is where I think everything's headed. And whenever I get into something, I get obsessed, and I just took the red pill and just jumped in, and it's been a wrap. It's been crazy.
It's interesting that you got into mining in 2019. Generally, anybody who came in after that 2017 blow off the top generally starts with Ethereum, because at that point mining was pretty industrialized. I mean, now it's like heavily industrialized, but back then, dude, setting up a small mining was probably not profitable, or it wasn't profitable in the beginning. You'd have to hold those coins or Ethereum or whatever you're mining until that price increased.
Yeah, it was like late 2019 into 2020, and then GPU mining on Ethereum, and then started when all those, I did Helium, DPR, started mining Flux, and then
you were in the weeds.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I was setting up antennas on roofs for Helium. I don't know, man. There was something about the tech, and then feeling like it working, because I'm a skeptic, right? I'm like the person that's like, you go to vote, no one's counting your votes. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I fully believe that, but a large part of me is like, so when I saw a lot of this consensus happening and being a part of it on that side, and seeing, hash rate go up, me contributing, getting contribution, the incentive cycle, and there's electricity backing this quote unquote, same way oil backs the dollar. I don't know, everything just started clicking. And then NFTs got on my radar, and I was like, I faded them. I was like, this is, I just watched all of them blow up, and I was like, nah, no, not this one. And but we can get into that. But then I hit DeFi summer, and just
traded some food tokens.
Yeah, I mean, Uniswap, opening up a lot of LPs and just trying to provide liquidity on two sides of stuff, getting wrecked, and winning sometimes. But yeah, that taught me about finance. Like, I was like, because if you would have talked to me about Wall Street and trading before that, I'm like, my brain just shuts off. I just like, a bond, I don't know, where does money go? Like, I don't get it.
It's a fixed, dude, it's the crypto rabbit hole where wherever it is that you enter, you ultimately end up learning the same over time. I came in 2016. It was all Bitcoin at the time. Ethereum was literally like nothing. It was just like an ICO launch pad for scams.
Probably. Oh my God. I was just in ETH Denver, and I went up to Breckenridge with one of the foundation, like the ETH, like he was lead research, crazy smart dude, hilarious. And that he kept calling it that. I thought it was so funny. He's like, yeah, well, I don't know. It just turned into a platform for scams. And I was like, oh my God, there's unfortunately so much truth to that. And it's hilarious. But
yeah, you got to do your due diligence, man. But ultimately, when you go down that rabbit hole, you start learning about power structures, political structures, right? Then you end up with learning what the Fed is doing, and then how the corporations are all backed by the politics, who's backed by the Fed, and right, it's this like evil triangle that just like never ends. And you're like, how do I break out of this? But now in crypto, there's so many different mediums and categories that you could kind of like enter from. You go from NFTs, you could go in through gaming, go in through metaverse. Granted, metaverse and gaming is pretty subpar to say it at best, but
yeah.
It seems like NFTs are really kind of just has been the red pill. Ultimately, I thought it would be Bitcoin. Honestly, the whole time I was like, how do you not understand? This is the most pure cryptocurrency, right? This is how you set yourself free. And ultimately, people just want to trade JPEGs, at least at this point in time. But I'm curious, like, where does the Pineapple Workshop business come from? It's something it's literally in your Twitter handle. It's not something you mention that often, but I know that's like part of your business. So tell us a little bit like what it is.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad you asked. That's something I'm actually working on, like helping explain that. But the story behind Pineapple is pretty dope. I mentioned I did music, toured. The first group I toured with, now fast forward, I toured with Andrew Hathaway and Barry Hill, and these two guys in Robotic Pirate Monkey. Silly name, but they crushed it. They played like Red Rocks, super dope. And we toured, became really good friends, went separate ways, kept in touch, played shows every once in a while, but we were in a van together for like 3 months. And so after that, we both strangely got into software. They started working at Comcast, Beatport, and all these places doing dev. And then I was just doing like, front end, building real estate databases and websites and stuff. And then they started Pineapple, and they would come to me like, you're into, mining, all this stuff, and started telling me about DeFi and just tokenomics consulting, just like shooting the shit. And we'd always communicate. And people kept hitting me up like, hey, can you help me build this out? And I'm like, yeah, I can build, small projects. But some bigger projects kept hitting me up, and I was like, I just kept, hey, Pineapple, can you help me? And then we're like, dude, it just makes sense. Like, join the team. Let's do this. Like, jump head first. So I quit my safe job or whatever you want to call it, and just joined the team. And it's been amazing ever since. Like, I'm working on cutting edge tech every day with really brilliant people, have way more software development like experience than me. So I get to learn from them, give them my knowledge on different things. And it's a really healthy, just innovative group of people. We're up to 15 people now, building out. We just did the Pogs launch. They helped with the Flow Network. NBA Top Shot is on, so they helped launch NFL All Day. There, and Rob on the team helped write a lot of the protocol for Flow, like the core protocol. So these fellas know, and girls, and like guys and gals know what they're doing. And yeah, it's awesome. I couldn't ask for a better situation.
So is that your full-time job?
Yeah. So I'm helping, do front end dev and doing the podcast, and just helping, grow the community, and, just put other projects, give them some light, because, a lot of these really good devs don't have the like influencer marketing, like pump and all. I don't know what what I mean.
No,
like,
this is exactly. Yeah, exactly. I want to dive into this a little bit deeper, because there's not many people who are kind of in a similar situation. I've discussed this very often, that there's this trend that's happening mostly in NFTs. It's starting to trickle down to the cryptocurrency world, where the devs are generally the ones who start the project, and then they realize that they have a huge lack in marketing, right? And so what they do basically is they go reach out and see who are kind of the leaders or the influencers in their little niche that they're in. And then they say, hey, come on and be the director of vibes, or be the NFT guy, or be the podcaster, or whatever the case is. And it's kind of hyper accelerating. It started with Thread Guy, could have started before, right? He joined Jenkins of LA to be the director of vibes. Some other people, Adam and I joined Emblem Vault. You saw now K Money joined NFT Now as like their kind of media person. You joined Pineapple Express as that brand, because if you're going to operate a completely digital business, it has to have that media component, or no one's going to be interested. It has to be front facing. It almost becomes so extraneous at times, where it's like you have to be on Twitter Spaces 24/7. You got to tweet all of this, right? Or you've kind of even branded out and you've become the memes in a sense, right? You become the memer, which also, it all flows back to eventually having this conversation of, hey, what is Pineapple Workshop?
Yeah. And I mean, going all the way back to music, it's like, it's kind of like, I like to throw things out there and just experiment, and some of them just take off, and I'm just trying to keep up with it. Like the mullet one, for example, I had no idea, but like it resonates. People are, making really fun stuff, and that's epic. So I don't know. I hear what you're saying. And the thesis for the podcast was this. It was, nobody's reading white papers. No one's, really doing their own research. There's really cool projects doing really great things, and I see them all the time. But these pump and dumps just get the timeline every time. So my contribution was like, hey, let's get it in long form so people can maybe start to grasp and learn and really educate. Because once people start to understand what's happening, they can make better decisions. And like, selfishly, I get to talk to really smart people all the fucking time. So like, I'm super in, and like, it helps even us at Pineapple. Like, we, you know, consult after, and I'm like, dude, this makes a lot of sense. Like this project's doing that. So we stay really up to date through that. So, you know, I do agree with you. Every team needs a digital arm to do some type of content. And it's crazy how this one turning into that. But the thesis of it was, you know, education, build people that are interested. And, you know, because we're working on products ourselves and we want to be able to curate people that are interested in testing it and working with us on it. So yeah, it's been awesome. And I learn a bunch every day. Like, I mean, even ours, I learned so much from you about like Emblem Vault and like how that's working, and opened my eyes, and probably why I jumped into the ordinals rabbit hole to some degree. Like you put big, you know, like, so it's all a big mess, but somehow makes sense. I don't know.
So how do you differentiate then, or at least how do you evaluate the different forms of content that you decide to dive in? You start with podcasting. Of course, I also selfishly say that I do a podcast because I get to network with individuals. The cliche term I use a lot is, hey, you know, when I started with no followers, I'd say, hey, Kim Kardashian, can you come on my podcast? Or, hey, Kim Kardashian, can I get 5 minutes of your time to pick your brain? And they just don't respond. It's like, hey, Kim K, can I share your story and on a 2-hour show? And they're like, do you want 3 hours? You're like, what? Dude, how is this real?
That is the alpha of the podcast. Everyone listening, if you're in a position where you want to grow your network, there is something so special that hit me like a ton of bricks to the face. Is just that, is like, you can hit someone up and be like, hey, I have a quick question. Like, how did you get this section of this function to work? Or how did you go about creating this piece of art? Like, I would love to do that. How are you using AI? What I'm getting at is they won't get back to you, but you put the word podcast in there and they're just like, all right, I'll carve out a whole 3 hours for you. And you're like, wait, what? I don't know. Podcast is a strange word. It works. And I highly encourage people to start one. Not only is it educational for yourself, you can put good content out for others and help be, you know, like I like to think like, you know, help put good projects in the forefront and give them, you know, their chance to get some shine in the market. But yeah, no, that's the hack.
It's something that you continually learn and you improve on. Also, just you being the front face of the brand or whatever you're doing at the time, it builds rapport with a lot of your community that you may never even met. The first 170 episodes I did was just like Vegas entrepreneurship. And people would walk up to me in Vegas and start a conversation with me from the podcast that they had listened to, from a person that I'd never met. Cool. And you stand there and you're like, wait, what is going on right now? You're like, oh, podcast. Oh. And it's just like, you completely skip that 30 minutes of small talk that you generally have to go through, because if somebody's interested in what you're doing, they're generally going to lead with whatever that interesting thing is. It's just, it's really such a big life hack. But the weird thing with the NFT space is now you kind of have this introduction of Twitter Spaces, and it's just like, right, it's on demand. It's almost like we recreated FM radio in a sense, because there's always different shows going. People are hopping in and out. It's not nearly as intimate. It's a lot more influenced by the crowd and by the people who come in and out, right? The quality is a little bit less. How do you insert this kind of into like your media fold? I know you generally have started some spaces, and kind of how do you view the differences between podcasting and Twitter Spaces?
Such a good question. I ask myself this often, but the way I see it is like Twitter Spaces are like live sports. You know, it's like, it's great when it's happening. Am I going to listen to one recorded? I mean, I haven't. I know people do. I just think when I hear it and then like weird scuffling, rugging, like, oh, you're right. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to listen to this. So I view it like live sports. It's great to get involved, jump in for the latest cutting edge, what's happening. And I like that part of it. You know, there's a whole other weird side of it of like people just wanting to be in a room because it's big. I don't know if I like that part of it, just because less intimate, you know, it's, I don't know. I'm jaded, as you can probably tell, but like the big rooms, like the ones that Mario puts on, just like thoughted. And, you know, I'm not here for that. I just think, people go up there, engagement farm, and just do weird stuff. But I do think when done right, Twitter Spaces are amazing. Like, it's such a cool use case, and I love it. To be honest, like, I think Twitter Spaces are cool, but in NFT Twitter, there's some weird stuff that goes down, but I'm here for it, and I encourage people to check out Spaces, find people that you like to hang with. It's one thing that's humanized this space for me more than anything. Kind of just being able to chat with people, and not just Twitter fingers, right? Where people just get crazy.
Buddy,
but I don't know. That's my thought.
Yeah, I mean, it is heavily influenced by entertainment. Even that Thread guy, the last pod I did with him, he said that the reason why he yells is mostly for entertainment purposes, to be very lively. When I had him on, he literally was just like pretty chill, and a lot of the comments were like, "I've never seen Thread guy not yell in a conversation." So I think understanding those differences is quite important. It is definitely an engagement hack for sure. When you go on a stage, you're going to pick up some followers of some sort, right? It's more authentic, probably feeds into this algorithm. And whether it's good or not, the crypto space is heavily dependent on Twitter. I don't know if it'll ever leave, dude. It's like a mom and its baby, right? It's just like you're forever there.
Doge logo. Like, I mean, that's crazy. Really. I mean, a platform with billions of users used a logo of a cryptocurrency coin, and a shit coin at that. And, just shows the power of memes. Like, my theory is news travels at the speed of memes. And like, it's such a better way to communicate things. Like, back to the white paper. No one's reading white papers, but if you're having fun and can like have educational content in a meme fashion, I don't know. There's so much about memes. I absolutely love them. I think like AI generated art is going to play a huge role in communication. Now artists don't have to go create images that represent something funny. Like when Trump got arrested, like that's how I see communication happening, is like people making parodies and funny things and sharing that. I'm not saying it's like amazing news, but it covers stuff and it crosses borders. Like, there's no language to a photo. You could post that. I don't know. Is it what I'm saying making sense?
Yeah, it's actually exactly where I was going to steer this conversation. So I'm glad I have another podcaster on here. When you look at the pillars, or you'd say the hubs of the meme economy, there's three platforms that come to mind. You have 4chan, which I think doesn't exist now or is dying or something. It was supposed to be shut down or something like that. You have Reddit, and then you have Twitter, right? Those are kind of the three platforms that memes live and thrive. And now it's really consolidated down to mostly just Twitter and Reddit. And both of those platforms are moving towards an NFT model. So this idea of tokenized memes in the future, I believe is going to be a positive way of how you could kind of quantify attention in a sense, right? If you put out a good meme, as you said, that memes are or the news travels at the pace of memes, which I think is an incredible line. If you're able to put a meme out and then people buy that, because that's kind of how memes work right now. When you go to like rare pepes and things like this, there's 40,000 different types of rare pepes, right? You have rare pepe, you have fake rares, fake comments, dank rares, notable pepes, fake memes. Now you got mullet pepes, right? You got all kinds of them, and it's kind of, I call memers, they're kind of like the blue collar workers of the internet, because you gotta really.
That's fire.
If you think about like how memes sell, right? They're generally sold for pretty low prices. It's anywhere from like $10 to maybe like $200 at most, right? And you sell them in quantity, in little bit larger quantities, because they're in open editions, right? Because you want everyone to be able to get them. And then everyone kind of just like moves on after that. And then you get maybe the collectors who come in because they like the brand, right? If you call like Mullet Punks is kind of like a news business, right? That just puts mullets on whatever the news is, in a sense.
Yeah, straight up. Yeah, I never thought of it like that. That's the way you're laying it out is super interesting. I haven't really thought about it like that. It is tokenizing a creation, and we've seen it. Content creators try to tokenize their work. People are working out this problem, but like rare pepes, fake rares, notables, they've done this. Like they've accomplished this. Like the proof is in the pudding. Like people love good, like what am I trying to say? Art that speaks to the time, that's relevant, that is reminiscent of what occurred during this little section. Because so much stuff happens, right? Like we'll look back on SBF and like that, and there's so many golden like memes. And if you hold a piece of that, yes, it's in small quantities, but there's something special there. Like I know this will be a stretch, but it's like kind of having like a World War II relic. Like this is our fucking like battlefield, and it's like, I know that's a stretch, hot take, hit me up on Twitter,
Boom.
But,
Boom.
shots fired. But no, what I'm getting at is like, it's happened and it's building an actual community. And that's was the tipping point for me, is when I found Fake Rare and got Rare Skrilla on the podcast. Was like, because why I faded NFTs was like, man, it's just fabricated. People are LARPing as animals. Like, I get it. I don't. Why? And, I couldn't. But once I found a community like that just collects and enjoys and, is here for what's actually occurring, provenance and collectability, and the ability to airdrop. And this is the true utility right now. Like, don't get me wrong. I think there's going to be amazing. People are working on some fascinating, brilliant stuff, but the infrastructure, it's not fully there. Mm-hmm. So like when people speculate and say, oh, we have a AAA game, we have this, that, you're getting like smoke and mirrors until it's delivered. But when I found that, there's like cards with like graffiti culture, hip hop. That's what got me into music production, was like hip hop, and there was like audio attached to these. And it just felt like, oh, I finally found my corner of the internet. Like clever people. I love stand-up comedy too. Mm-hmm. So I feel like these memers are like stand-up comics. It's all about delivery. Like when they post this shit, like, wow, like Dark Farms is a wizard at this. Like,
dude,
something
he's
happens,
the greatest.
And he's so creative and clever. And to me, I appreciate that. Like something happens, he has something to say in an artistic form in his style. And it's just like, the sooner if he posted it a week, it would still be cool. But it's like, when
it's the next day, literally.
Yeah, no, it's literally in that same hour, bro. It's like, and to me, that's just like, I'm impressed. And I'm like, and that's why I think he's so notable, pun intended. But yeah, I don't know. Everything from that is really inspired what's happening with mullets. I've just really looked up to, Carsonated, Vincent Van Doe, Skrilla, Viva La Vandal, and these guys just doing an endless list. Honestly, JPEG Killer, I could go on forever. But I found what I like, and I'm just, I'm someone that likes to build and do things. So mullets got way out of control, and I'm just like, dude, fuck. People are making really cool memes out of it. I want to help tokenize it for them, and make some of these artists some money too. Because like, if I have a platform for mullets and they're making cool art, I would love to share, and run that with them. So yeah,
the dankest mullet right here. I just pulled it up finally. There's a lot.
That's actually my first Fake Rare.
How do you go about creating something like this? I'm not an artistic person at all. I've tried to create some memes. I'll be launching my own fake meme actually here pretty soon. But I'm doing
more. A fake meme?
Yeah. So I actually am starting a series. So it'll actually be out by the time this comes out. I'm doing a Vegas themed kind of like Pepe meme series. So I'm working with different artists across crypto and non-crypto to create Vegas themed memes of different collections. Because I'm not good at art. You do not want me designing art. It's gonna come out like fucking boo boo. But what I am good is like curating ideas and communities and kind of like putting the distribution out there for other people to see. And of course, everything I do, I always split everything 50-50 with them, and try to really just kind of really explore these different types of things. So that first one will actually be, by the time this comes out, I think it probably will be launched as well. But for something like this, like, how do you create this? Like, what do you use?
Oh, dude. All right. So mullets started on a podcast. I had Joe from Form 3. He's helping Starbucks launch their NFT. And he just said something. He's like, this blockchain is like Web2 in the front, Web3 in the back. And ever since that, dude, you see what I don't know. I was just like, that was stuck with me, and I just started putting mullets on stuff. And I don't know, it was just fun. And it's been a blast. And look at these pieces, dude. You have like Viva La Vandal, you have Basquec, you have Naples. Like these things are, people have been posting this, and I'm like, dude, we have to release these. These are amazing. So, but back to like, yeah, how create basically, dude, Photoshop, Illustrator, freaking just copying, pasting, layering, manipulating. I recently got an iPad too, so I've been doing some stuff on there, but mainly, honestly, just Photoshop and Illustrator. Like, it's been a really cool way to just make random memes online.
Wait, hold on. I just saw something right here. So I bought 5 mullet punks. So does this mean I get 5, or I get a free claim for all of these? Is that how it is?
Yeah. So each
oh shit, I didn't even know that.
Oh, dude. Yeah. So basically, it's a cool way for people, because I was shocked, dude. I put the mullet punks up and it minted out and like super fast. Like I was like almost bummed it minted out so fast, because there was people that were making cool memes that didn't even get one. I was like, holy shit, dude. I didn't even share the link for more than 2 minutes or something. So I was like, how do I kind of thank everyone that bought these things? So I thought, and kind of similar to what other people are doing, I was like, all right, if you fucking support it and bought 5, like everything that happens, you get a free drop from these artists. So every artist can choose a supply less than 69. And we just drop it every Friday. Fuck it, Friday.
Every Friday, dude. Hell yeah. So how are you going about finding artists for this?
Dude, two different ways. People just send me stuff, which is fucking amazing. And then I just kind of reach out to artists that I think their style would work really well. And I don't know, there's something similar to why Carsonated did fake memes. People are not like burnt out on Pepe, but people like a new challenge, a new restriction. So like it's similar to fake memes. Like people are doing newer stuff, not just Pepe related. And like there was dude, like this, dude, I made that meme, someone inscribed it. Like this is the vibe I've been hoping for in this space, is like I don't know, there's just so much ordinals and mullets right now are just, it feels good. Like I don't know, it's starting to have some fun. I'm enjoying it. And yeah, I mean, I'm not stopping with mullets. I even want to go as far as on the podcast, when I have my mullet fully grown out, because I have to now, but literally Amazon Prime a mullet to the guest, have them wear it during the show. Like, dude, I mean, why not? Like, there's something about a mullet that just says, I don't give a fuck, and I want to have a good time. And I think that does embody me strangely. Like, and this is the shit, dude. You can't plan this shit. Like, I've tried to launch I've overthought everything in my life, basically. And like this one, I don't know, it just went. And I think that's due to all the past efforts, right? I was able to spin up a side, do all this because but like, you just got to keep trying and shooting your shot, and just do random shit, see what happens.
It actually has a pretty good distribution. So for Mullet Punks, which is kind of the foundation of it all, 420 items, 167 owners, 40% unique, which is pretty good. It's pretty fair. I mean, once you get over 50, you're doing pretty well. Floor 0.04, you got 18 ETH in volume in a month, maybe a month and a half.
And it's literally wasn't me. It was literally just like, it was just for fun. And that's what's so cool. And I think that's why it worked. I don't know, because, you can kind of start to smell when there's like VCs in the water, like, or like turns into a business or something. But I don't know. The cool part is like, I now have been messing around with stamps, and I'm working in the 12 by 12. Look at the Viva La Vandals 101. And that's another cool thing, is like, I'm so grateful. Like, artists that I look up to are like hitting me up and saying, dude, I fucking love this. And I'm like, holy shit, dude, that's so cool. I love your work. And I don't know, there's something lighthearted about it. And again, humanizing is the other strange thing. Like people, I don't know. I don't know how to explain that part, but for some reason, it's definitely humanized a lot of relationships for me.
So when Viva La Vandal did this one, you just donated it. You just asked them to do it. You just give them like a allow list spot or some to mint out.
How did that? No, I basically, where was I in the creation phase? I was like generating these things. I basically got all the traits because Middlemarch and Piv do a lot of punk derivatives. So I was like, oh, I know they have all the layers. So I hit them up. They're all 12 by 12. So I had to enlarge them and then get them all separated and layered into a script. And then what was I doing? I was doing some other shit with Viva La Vandal. Me and him have been collaborating on a bunch of shit. So I was just like, I showed him this and he was like, yeah, let's go. So yeah, he just did it, dude.
And I like here, most people probably don't even notice this actually. You have the orange background for Bitcoin punks, the purple for V1 punks, and then you have the like flat blue or whatever it's called for like the V2 punks.
Yeah, and there's one that most people won't know is the mint. So that was V3 funks. For those that don't know, there's a huge history there, but I'll kind of fast forward. You know, a lot of people think funks is negative, mainly associated with someone named Polly. And there's a whole bunch of other people that hold this token and really cool builders, amazing, intelligent people that, you know, kind of give the middle finger to, you know, they're not just filled with niceties. It's not like, hey, everything's wonderful. They call stuff out saying, hey, what's going on here? So someone was trying to release, you know, something that was pretty scammy. And we released V3 funks and donated all the money to maps. So we released a 10K collection of funks with that mint background, raised 80 grand in like 6 hours and taught people how to mint from contract. And that was one of the coolest things I've done in the space that, I don't know, something. And if you went to the contract and hit withdraw, it would go to the, like directly to Maps wallet. So like as a user, you could mint and then hit the withdraw function and it would send whatever in the contract to the wallet. And I don't know, that was something I was very, very proud of. And something that made sense to share with like my family, you know, like I try to explain this stuff to them and they're like, I don't know what the hell you're doing. But I was like, yeah, donated 80 grand a day with some buddies online to Maps. And I don't know. I think that's something special.
Teaching people, it's very motivating. It's very fulfilling. I didn't even realize you had Leonidas on here.
Yeah, dude, Leonidas is awesome.
Yeah, he's on. Okay, so here's the season 3. What day is this? February. Wow, it was only a little over 2 months ago. It feels like fucking forever ago. Although I think we did record it like maybe like a month before or something. Yeah, I used to in Vegas in 2021 host like actual like live meetups like in collaboration with UNLV and City of Las Vegas and Gaming Control Board and all these different people, and sitting there teaching a room of 50 to 60 people how to mint, how to prevent yourself from getting scammed, like what a layer 1 blockchain is. There's just something very empowering about it, and you can do
it's fulfilling. And, you know, it's like there's something special there. It's like, I don't know. There's something fulfilling about just when you see the lights go off, and they're like, oh my God, that's all it is. Because a lot of this stuff's overwhelming. You just have to get your hands dirty and touch it a little bit. Once you know, mint from contract, for example, you're like, wait, all a smart contract is functions that you call that no one can change unless there's something in the contract that says you can change it, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that was a super awesome, but that's why the V3s are there. Some people have been asking, but if you know, you know.
If you know, you know. I opened up the Pineapple Workshop, so for those that are that are listening, this is the page that I'm on. I'm looking at like some of the projects. You're now working the back end of the crypto space. You're working the front end from multiple perspectives. What would you say is the biggest disparity between talking with teams on the back end and working on more of the business side, and then on the front end where you're active, participating in speculation and memeing and shit posting and maybe some of the more colorful antics that maybe aren't presented or maybe are on the back end?
I mean, I think I have pretty bad ADD. So like I jump around a lot, and in my position, being able to do that, where it makes sense, strangely, because things are changing every day. So being able to be like, hey guys, ordinals are start popping. Let's learn, this language. This is popping. So it makes sense to relay that, because some of our devs, they don't have a Twitter. They don't, and they're way better than me. Like, so I can help out, but being able to and I'm just genuinely interested. Like, and I love making art. Like, my creative background was music. I made all the graffiti's what got me into making hip hop, which got me into making electronic music. It's always been a part of my life of just like making stuff, whether it's a website, there's design to that. There's elements, it's played a through line throughout, but it's funny. Like, I don't have artists in my bio, so people are like, I don't know what Bunzy but and I think that's hilarious. I think it's something to be said, but yeah, I think the combination's super healthy right now. It's a lot to balance. Some days I'm like, I gotta pocket, and then I gotta jump over here. But as the market moves so fast, I'm able to help the people we build for understand what they're getting into, the addressable market. Like, I have a pulse, which most people either have one or the other. So I'm trying to be the liaison at the same time of being like, hey, this is a great idea. It's before its time. Let's build it, do this, implement it with this. And, I'd like to just think of like everything as the user of where it starts to make sense. So I like to use every protocol when it comes out. I like to, be involved. I like to get my hands dirty, because just saying I know about it without going through the site, clicking, and I learn by doing, period.
Like, the emotional, I usually call it like the emotional loop, or the, mental gymnastics you have to go through dabbling with some of these protocols. It's tough. Even as simple as like, taking 30 minutes to go through like 10 or 20 clicks to open up a forum, a how-to watch a video, then do it. It really teaches you a lot about how lazy society is to an aspect, but also just like how really taking that time really puts you ahead of everybody. And then also, because I've been on the Emblem team for the last 6 months, talking with teams on the background and figuring out how chaotic it can be going through some of these conversations, but also, getting to talk with, some very, some considerably successive teams, and realizing they're just people too, right? You're giving them advice. You're giving them advice. They're giving you advice. And you're like, wait, you guys are worth billions of dollars, and yet you're asking me for advice, right? Like, isn't it? It's just like, you realize we're all human at the end of the day.
Yeah. And that's what I needed most out of this space or whatever, is just like, that's the missing element for me. And that's why I'm so grateful for Mullet Punks, is like, it's actually cultivating cool people that are like-minded, and just like sharing, and not, because dude, it's not like Nakamiga or like something that's blowing up. It's just cool. Like, and I'm super grateful for that. So I don't know. And that's one thing too, is like, how can I build an NFT contract and marketplace and a minting page without doing it myself? I would just be like blind leading the blind. So it's me. It's like, I'm lifetime experimenting. Like, I'm the test dummy. Like I want to build stuff. Like, if I see something, I'm not going to go tell the founder like, hey, you should switch this. I'm going to build it my way and just be like, hey, this is what I think should happen. And, it's been great. Like with the Mullet Punks, like, dude, I'm inscribing, probably doing one of the first, you would probably know this, but I'm working with the Ordinal wallet team to do a randomized mint on Bitcoin, which right now, most people are putting their whole collection on a marketplace and people are just sweeping the floor. And with Mullet Punks, they have, CryptoPunk traits, which people just snipe, and it'd be unfair. So I really want people to be randomized. And I think that's something healthy for that ecosystem. So working on that, for example, and now the next time someone needs that pineapple, we can help build that, So that's how I see this.
It's I think both of us kind of find ourselves wearing multiple hats that not many others have in their closet. We are working for teams, right? Kind of as like a team member, employee, whatever you want to call it, so you can learn that. We're all also both moving into this world of like token creators, which I think is kind of just like the entrepreneur version of the digital world. Like when you look in the, I guess you could just call it even like Web2 content creators like Mr. Beast and stuff. They take that leverage through the intention economy, then go build other businesses. Where in the token creator economy, it's very similar. You go through the experiment, you sell, and then you have to build the product, right? It's like you almost capture. It's almost like you have to raise the funds first, then capture the attention afterwards, right? Or maintain the attention. Where it's the other way. In the content world, it's like you're capturing the attention first and then monetizing it afterwards. But also like in this space, you're also traders in a sense, right? You got to pay attention to the market dynamics.
See that too is like you need, there's too many moving parts. In my opinion, I can't do just one. Like if you're going to be, I guess to boil it all down, like product, right? It's like, I got my hand back in front and launching it, like using it. So essentially all these are products. So it's like, you need to understand every piece of it. And because if you don't, that could be the shortcoming of a brilliant protocol or a brilliant, release of something is not understanding, the conditions or the sentiment in the market, or I don't know. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. Taking your idea to, and then first trying to articulate it sometimes with these crypto projects is tough, especially when things haven't been done. And then you have to intertwine it within the attention, right? Raising capital, floor price, all these different things. For example, because we were kind of talking about like my podcast adventure with tokenizing a podcast, and it had some decent success. It's kind of stalled out, and then you have to like be able to adjust it. You have to be able to move on the whim with the market with this like machine that's always ever changing. Things become stale much quicker in the crypto space than they do in the real world. So you always have to continually move. But for me, I tweeted sometime in the beginning of 2023, I said, this year is going to be the year that I actually like go experiment with tokens as being a token creator. Cause I've been in space just as a trader and kind of just like a podcaster and educator and stuff. But you have to be okay with, eating shit. Honestly, you're not,
that's the alpha, bro.
You gotta be okay with it.
And that's the thing is no one likes to fail, and failing publicly is like 100 times worse, dude. And I had to get over that with music because I would release songs. Some of them would crush and I wouldn't know why. Some of them would fall flat. And then you'd be like, fuck, dude, I'm falling off or whatever. But I failed so many times doing that where I think I got thicker skin because it's like, fuck, I can stress about this every single time or continue just putting my best foot forward and just, creating with good intent. And, that's why I kind of started Bunzy as having doxed or whatever is like when I was doing music, I would do that. And that became like my identity. So I'd go out around town, people like, oh my God, you're killing it. Or like, oh, what's going on? And everyone had good intent. They were trying to be nice, but I was like, it made me like insecure. So I was like always attached to me. So like when I went on Twitter, I was like, oh shit, dude, no one knows me. Like this is fire. I can just post whatever I want, have fun, share art. Who cares if it doesn't do well? Like this fucking account's name's Bunzy. And I enjoyed that, and it allowed me to flourish and be more creative. And yeah,
so why take the veil off now? Do you feel like there's some sort of pressure mounting, or
no? Was there something else? I'm going to more events. I want to post photos. I want to wear. I gotta fucking show people that I'm trying to grow my mullet, dude. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe by this time I'm not doxxed and this video's black and there's like something super dope, some pixels over it, and everyone's hyped, and we just totally trolled them, and that would be fire too. There's something humorous in that, and but I don't know. I do think there's a level of respect of just like, hey, people are rocking with mullets. I'm trying to help uplift other artists. I think it adds legitimacy. And, but who knows, maybe it takes it away too. Like Vincent Van Gogh, you have Dark Farms. There's something interesting about anonymity. It allows people to use their imagination. And that's why I think like Pixar and some of these things work so well, because people can reflect about themselves in some of these things and kind of like, not to lie, dude, like there's been some times when I like, that's the dude.
Yeah.
Like, or that's her.
Most people.
And it's like, oh, I mean, that sounds fucked up, but like, I don't know. There's something, there's something, not magical. That's not.
Hey, we are judgmental creatures. At the end of the day.
You kidding me?
Everything is social signaling. Everything.
Yeah. So, and I think like my favorite artist, and if he hears this, he'll probably troll me, but is Mike 3. Like he's one of the first people like in the funks that I was like, holy shit, you know, whoa. Like, and he's super anon, posts amazing, crazy content, kind of does the Banksy style with like art installations. And like, I love that approach too. So who knows, but definitely I'm going to more events to network and try to get more people on the podcast. So like, I'm out here. I got, you know, a lot of people already know who I am too. But who knows? I definitely just want to not have it be like someone else posted. I'd like to control it and like have my mullet ready, you know?
The pod life is a grind. I've had at least one episode every week for now 3, next week will be 3 years. So
bro,
260.
That's impressive.
260 episodes. Yeah. There's times where you get burnt out, but after, you know, sometimes you'll take a week because you record 3 episodes in a week or something. Yeah. And then you get back to recording that conversation. You're like, this is fucking awesome. Why would I ever want to stop doing this?
100%, dude. 100%. And shout out to Pineapple. There's Pedro and some like Theo and Matt, like so many people supporting it and helping out. So it's like makes it super possible. But another thing I was getting at is like, dude, I wanted to give you kudos. We were talking about it before because like you tokenized your podcast, like you went for it, and it's so cool. Like with Digi too, like I'm a big fan of Digi, and I just love when people try things, and I think you're onto something brilliant, and like I want to support that any way I can because, dude, I want to do things that you're doing and then fail at some, like, hey, don't do this, you know, and like work in a collaborative way because, you know, I just hate when people are so opinionated and don't try anything.
Yeah.
You know, I just think it's okay, but like, don't go into a Discord and just like complain to complain. It's like, all right, try to make a wallet connect button that works. Like,
yeah, it's so true, man, dude. It's when you go through your project, and the reason why I chose Digi is because, you know, we did the Sotheby's stuff together. He's also a super cool guy.
Our podcast covered that well.
Yeah, dude, it was awesome. I'm going through my own kind of like understanding of large supplies. How do you price things, right? Keep pricing it. You want to do it free, but you can't do free or else the bots take everything, right? It's like there's this weird medium that you have to do, right? So I've now moved it down to 0.007, which is like literally $10. But now it's like, okay, the price is low enough, but now you have to encourage people to do it. So you have to offer a reward, right? There's so many different things that go into it that you don't think about or you don't even consider until you're kind of in that process and you go through this kind of problem solving solution. I'm a very hardcore entrepreneur in the sense that if there's a problem, there's a solution to it somewhere. You just really have to trial and error it to figure out what it is.
Yeah. And I think you're doing the solid work for people after you, right? Like, I mean, let's look at what Jack Butcher did for Open Editions, dude. Like he literally reignited artists all over the world. People were just like going into these PFP projects time and time again. But after people saw him crush it, dude, my timeline was filled with artwork again. Like it was so cool. And like, that's what people like you doing, like actually doing it. Cause I interview people like, yeah, token or content token platforms and all this stuff, or content creator token. I don't know what
social token,
whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Web3 baby. All these buzzwords, but yeah, dude, I just think, you know, what you're trying is going to help the next person and the next person and the next person. And what is crazy, I hate saying this, but like we are early, you know, and it's like Patreon and all these email CRMs, like all that shit's gone with blockchain. Like this really helps facilitate a lot of stuff. It's infrastructure. It's not as sexy as everyone's making it. It's literally Excel sheets that store data that no one could fuck with. That's all it is. Like your token is a hash. Like that's all it is. Like I hate to break it to you, but that's all you're trading. That's all you have. That's all we're doing here. And it's very nerdy. But we made it sexy with JPEGs and appealed to the human. Like you said, we're very judgment or not. That's harsh word.
Social
like,
signaling.
We're visual.
Apes, yeah.
We're visual. Like, oh my God, this NFT has, it looks like this. And that literally caused the boom. There's been NFTs before that huge boom. Like, dude, not counterparty, like crypto, but even DeFi. DeFi uses non-fungible tokens for like liquidity pools.
Yeah, for the staking
all
pools. All
types of stuff. So it's like non-fungible tokens are a lot of places, but I'll get off my soapbox because
no, you're good.
Their JPEGs, but
you know what's interesting?
You got a hash, bud.
You know what's interesting about just being in the historical space is that whenever you think somebody's done something or doing something for the first time, generally it's happened already. Just that person was
100%.
way too early. So like
that's why I hate people that shit on derivatives. Like, dude, there's no original idea. Like the fact, if you think that, like, you're not God, like you're not, and it's weird because I'll contradict that by saying I do appreciate intellectual property. I think people, should be entitled to things that they want to go that route. But I think as we explore digital asset, like this digital world, and I'll use this other word that sucks, metaverse, is like, the more you tell people don't use it, people are going to use it. Like you can make it once or a billion times. It's like, embrace it or you're going to have a really hard time out here. So I don't know. I'm very passionate about CC0, open source software. Like, why not put it out there for other people to use and build off so they don't have to go to ground zero? They can start on layer 5 and they're just like, oh, I have all this. I just wanted to build this extra feature. And now this is the way forward. Like, it's really good for humanity. Let's think about decentralized science for a second. Let's do it.
Let's talk about the future. This is actually where the final conversation I wanted to talk about, because we also touched on this when I went on your show towards the end, is like, where is this all going? And it's such a vague idea. So for general, I'll kind of start with like one of my ideas. One of the things with tokenizing my podcast is the general idea is proof of relationship. You have somebody come on your podcast, and then together you have them submit an NFT, or you work together, and it represents a podcast cover, right? Because you can upload it to the cover. And then that just becomes a social token. Then it's like, okay, what can I do with this token with Bunzy? The world knows now that I know him. I literally recorded a podcast with him, unless you're an AI, right? And he submitted the artwork. So you have this like proof of relationship kind of idea. And this kind of goes into like growing up in Vegas, where there's so many grifters that are like, yeah, I know Jack Bob, I know this person. And you're like, yeah, you don't fucking know this guy, dude. Right? So you have this token now that represented, and you're like, the fun part is this problem solving of like, okay, what are our strengths? And then what can we do with this token? Do we token gate a live stream, right? Do we use this as a membership to mint passes for the Mullet Punks, right? There's so many different ideas.
So that's what I was thinking. It's like, I correlated when you said proof of relationship. I was like, damn, that's interesting, but it's kind of like when I was in the music industry, it's like, dude, if I know whoever X artist and I'm in LA at the time, our proof of relationship, when I go there, dude, he has bottle service, and it's like, because we're homies, like I get that perk. So like in this, it's like, yeah, we're homies. Anything I do, like an airdrop happens and we tokenize this podcast, why wouldn't I hook you up with your, what you're doing? And I think that's the unlock of blockchain, right? Is this proof, not like, hey, everybody scan this QR code and snip out this coupon and then log in and give your email. And like, no, it's like, boom. And another part of that is like, I think it's brilliant. Say like, okay, you do that, you get the president on your podcast, and then, or like Red Cross, someone donated money to Red Cross. You have them on the podcast. You go to Starbucks and they have proof that they donated, and they get a discount.
Yep.
Like this is the way it's all interoperable. The way I see the metaverse is not VR headset, Mark Zuckerberg everywhere. It's literally just easily like APIs for everything, where you can just take this, put it there. And it works, you put this, put it there, and we're back to building blocks and not legacy platforms where they're like, sorry, dude, do you want, I can export the CSV file of this and send it. Like, I hope it works with your system. No, it's just like plug and play. Boom. Everything's connected. And that's the quote unquote metaverse. And that's my thesis for it.
Yep. So like for my idea, just go back and then we'll move forward. A cool idea would be, there's two things. Okay. I have actually had Andrew Yang on my podcast, the former presidential candidate. We did an event together here in Vegas. So I could be like, you could do things like if he did a pot or if he did a token for me, you did one and Thread Guy did one. I'd be like, now I'm doing a token gated live stream with these three people. If you have the Bunzy token, the Andrew Yang token, the Thread Guy token, you could come participate in this live stream where we watch UFC together, right? Like you could do weird, stupid shit like that. And because I'm also tying in royalties with the guest, right? So you would get 2.5%, I get 2.5% or whatever the number comes to. You're now incentivizing the person of the guest to participate, right? Because they're going to make money, right? So if I did all three of those in this example, then if we do an event, people are going to buy it. So essentially they're also getting paid to do these kind of shows and stuff. But ultimately where I see it going, like where I want to take my stuff is this, and it hasn't really been explored really, is tokenized entertainment and hospitality is kind of like the big use case, right? It goes right kind of like in the same lieu of like the music industry. We're giving the artists the empowerment to go create on their own. They don't need these agencies. But then what else can they do with the token? What other things can they plug into to encourage people to buy those songs, right? The proof of network, the proof of song, the whatever it is. One example I use is like this idea of like NFT hotel rooms where you can basically turn your hotel rooms to an NFT. You can sell them ahead of time. Now the hotels don't have to worry about selling out. And you know how many people bail on their hotel rooms because they just can't make it, and then they have to call the front desk and whatever. You could just fucking sell the token, right? Like it's so easy. You could do this with music, and you know what that would unlock too if you just like had NFT tickets that you just like gave to the artist. If the artist is selling out Allegiant Stadium, because that's where I'm at in Vegas. If Bunzy is selling this out, right, and they're like, here, we're just gonna give you 300 of these tickets as an NFT. You go do whatever the fuck you want with them. I know it's a much simpler process than having to go through your agent and then having to talk with these people. And then it's like, oh, give me the email list of all the people. And you're just like, dude,
it's fucking a shit show. And then you get to the front and they're just like, the guy working, just some young teenager was like, dude, I don't know. You're not on the computer, dude. Like, he's like, no. So like I emailed and there's like, fuck. And you're just like, this prevents a lot of that. And I think two perfect examples is like, just like you said, ticketing, it shows like, and the secondary, like the Taylor or the whatever her name is, Katy Perry or whatever, one of the Taylor Swift, they released on Ticketmaster. Secondary goes crazy, and that artist doesn't see any of that. Like it's so interesting to attach like, hey, the artist builds that much demand, a small percentage of secondary. I think that's really cool. And then, yeah, I mean, there's never been a world really. I'm sure there's like dividends and investing and stuff like that, but where consumers share on the upside. So, you know, like my advice to the listeners and myself even and to you is like, when you start any project, start very low. Like, you know, you don't have proof of concept. So maybe even free, but once you start to understand that and build it up, now you have your core, you know, tribe or whatever, you know, and then you know, you're able to reward them as you move forward. And now in a way, like you have this like indirect working relationship, like they want to like, you know, like musicians, for example, say you release it and you give a percentage of streams to your listeners, dude, you better believe they're going to be sharing that and like promoting your music. And, you know, I know it's possible today, but until we have less friction on the onboarding, like seed phrases, digital wallets, all of this stuff, it seems so second nature to us now, but like remember when you first got MetaMask and like you were moving like a few grand, you're like, did it go? Like, did it? I don't know. It's not the, I don't know. Did I fuck, dude? I lost it. And then, like we can't have that. Like and I think people forget, like we want all this cool stuff to happen, but we're forgetting basic stuff like UI, UX. Like we're just,
Yeah.
it's a bunch of back-end developers. Like the numbers check out, like it puts on the screen, like, dude, that's in Times New Roman and it's 12, like it's super small. That sucks. But like,
yeah, you got to think, you got to remember how simple most of society is, or just that they're just not advanced with technology. I mean, literally right before this call, I hope my parents are much older than me. My mom's like on the phone, buying a $500 gift card to get like fraud insurance or something. I'm like, you're literally getting scammed right now.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? That is just like a lot of society. They just don't know. She's like, what do you mean? Like, I don't need this. She's like, I don't want to get scammed. Like they're literally scamming you right now. Like, what do you, and in crypto, that's exacerbated like thousands of times. So we just have to be able to improve that. But to pivot your way, like I speculate kind of on this, like one of the final bosses or like the big unlock is like the tokenization of entertainment and hospitality industries. Where do you see a big unlock that maybe is an untapped market or untapped industry across the world?
I still think the electronic, like EDM music industry, it's young people, it's, and I just think ticketing, artists should start exploring it. I'm very biased because I come from that industry and just see like, oh my God, all these streams from Spotify, YouTube, they're all public. That's a good thing for the artists and the listeners. It's not verifiable on chain, but these are metrics to help distribute, and content creators sharing with their fans. Like, in what relationship isn't transparency a good part of it? And what, just understanding the upside. Business is usually, and trading in particular, there's a winner and a loser. Like a trade, that's how it fucking works. I hate to break it to you. It's not kumbaya. A trade is you're either on the selling side, losing money, or making money. And that's typically how business operate. But like, I'm, optimistic that this levels that where both parties can win if they play their role. And that's something that any good relationship, that's how it flourishes. If one person does more, then they have resentment for the other. If vice versa. So it's like, but if they both share in the work and the upside's just ridiculously high. Like, and you see this in NFT communities, like people just own these things, but they're fucking talking about it every day. And I know that's a poor example because it's like we view that as shilling your bags, but like it's an interesting concept to think about. Just as a whole, just like it happening is interesting to view and be like, wow, I'm not going outside and being like, dude, I fucking love Netflix. Netflix is the shit. Making content for them, making memes about Netflix. No, but if I was a Genesis holder of Netflix and I have a lifetime subscription for free, and now I'm sharing on the upside, and this thing, everyone wants my lifetime subscription, and I could flip this at some point for several $1,000s. Yeah, I'm going to be like, yeah, I got Netflix. What up? And those are the models and businesses that I am bullish on. Not in Web2 world, but companies in Web3 doing this. And we see this with airdrops. We see people exploring it, but like, this is the way. Like, this is the way forward. Low barrier to entry. You do your part, because we've seen the other way around. When you put your money in first, it's like when a startup gets funded. When a startup gets funded, they slow down. Like, unfortunately, because like that's their win. They're exhausted. Like, we proof of concept, and then I've seen it happen a few times. But if people get in like at a low price point and share on the upside, and not just, NFT projects have just got a shit ton of money and just kind of like, okay, we did it. Like, I don't know. I hope that makes sense without being too negative. But
no, you're actually preaching on a mental model that I have a very firm belief in. And it's this idea that the earlier you are to an NFT project, the more social support you have to provide. Because if the project's getting off the foundation, you're generally getting something for very cheap. and the liquidity pool, or you could say like the market cap, so small, you can't come in and spend $1 million on something that's just starting, right? You're going to own the entire supply, and then therefore no one wants to participate in it. So those who come in, and it's very similar to kind of the ordinal stuff. Those who came in and inscribed very early are the ones who are generally on Twitter and in the spaces talking about it and kind of offering partnerships and support and distribution options of how to kind of build this stuff out. And then later down the road is where the capital allocators come in, and they generally don't need to provide any social support, right? Like the guys who came in and bought or spent like 10 Bitcoin on the ordinal punks or the all-time high sales, they just come in and buy shit, right? That's their way of providing support. But when you're people like Leonidas or me, right, or Emblem or you, or all these people who got in kind of early, you're incentivized to participate and kind of share whatever your strength is, whether it's a Twitter Spaces or a podcast or long form content, text or tutorials or whatever it is. That's kind of what you have to do. And I think this is generally why projects thrive and succeed, is heavily dependent on this. Hate to use the Bored Ape example because people just hate apes for some reason, but that community early was building everything, right? Even when the floor was under 5 ETH or 4 ETH or whatever it is, they were the ones that were consistently on Twitter. When I went to New York that year for NFTYC, was like half Bored Ape people, right? It's just like they were just fucking everywhere. It's and that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, and I think we view things the same. Like as traders, we have that understanding of like being able to speculate in a healthy way and just say, oh, I can see this, and this happening. And especially if Y happens, that's going to ignite fire. And I think more people are starting to view it like that, of like, okay, this project has these ingredients, but let's take a step back from just this current space, right? Where this is more like no knowledge, right? And I just see a world where like you don't have to be on the stock exchange to be public. You can be on the blockchain and say, this is where everything's going. Like imagine nonprofits operating on the blockchain. I'd be way more prone to donate because like I said, I'm a skeptic. I'm like, you're shaving this off the top, nonprofit, like how much are you getting paid to run? Like, I don't know. But if it was like hit the block and I saw where it was distributing, that would make me, again, like I'd be more inclined to get involved. And even a small business, like say a friend started a business and they did it in this way, I'd be like, dude, let's fucking rock it. Like, as long as I know where the money's going, let's go. And I think that's the mentality that really builds conviction on my end of just like, you don't need to be a publicly traded company because once you get there anyway, they're washing numbers and I think we need this more than ever. Like we're so used to getting duped. We're so used to getting inflated numbers or rough estimates or, distracted by the media or, putting blinders on. But there's something so refreshing about sound numbers. I'm a data guy, but it's like, this checks out. This checks out with how many nodes, how many people like help come to this consensus. That's like, I mean, especially as we go into the world of deep fakes and all this stuff, like we need this technology now more than ever. Like, and this is why I'm so like bullish on hashes.
So all I heard from that is that the next step for Bunzy is putting the nonprofit mullet organization on the blockchain.
This will probably be announced, but I'm partnering with HairDAO. HairDAO is doing research for hair loss for men. Straight up, I met with them in ETH Denver. Molecules, the parent company that's helping them, we're doing dev work for them, but they fucked with the mullet super hard. So HairDAO, like they're like a fully funded decentralized science, and I'm just like, I'm working with them to, whatever happens with mullet punks, to donate money to research for hair loss for men, because I don't know, it's something, that builds confidence, and I don't know, it just made sense. I was like, holy shit, you guys are haired out and I just made mullet punks, like, and that's cool to me. Like that's way more exciting, even on, because I just think about myself, like, dude, I'd be way more down to buy a PFP or like a NFT project if I knew money was going to the right place. Like, so yeah, I'm partnering with them, gonna donate money and do some fun releases with them, and just 100% whatever we decide, like, and they're super open to that too. It's more they're at the community building phase. So they were like, yeah. And I was like, say less. If you're in it for that, like I'm super down to whatever mullets can do for something like that, fucking 100%.
I might just have to grow a mullet back out again. It's been about 15 years since I've had one.
Dude,
so,
it's never too late.
Never too late.
Mullet's a state of mind, dude. Mullet's a state of mind. Like sometimes I walk outside, I'm like, what would a mullet do? And then I just go super alpha and I'm like, oh, opening the door for all the ladies. Everything's going great. I'm like, dude, I'm
just getting 4 girls pregnant just looking at them.
Dude, I know. This is trouble. I can't go to the grocery store anymore.
Oh my God. Hair Dow. I absolutely love it. Well, Bunzy, I'm excited to have some drinks together in New York next week, right? It's already Friday, so big hype mode. It's gonna be a dream, right? Walk in with the mullet, and we'll see what kind of ladies are there. Although it's mostly men. So.
Yeah, we're talking NFT NYC. We're gonna chill with a bunch of dudes, maybe some wizards taking showers, filming themselves. But hey, dude, as long as we're clean, having a good time, and no one's I want to see if people are as angry as they are on Twitter. Some of these guys.
No.
Everyone's chill.
I've had pretty firm that most people that are angry on Twitter are generally pretty nice in person. There's a huge discontinuity between somebody's Twitter personality and their real life reality. Especially those that are pseudo-anonymous.
So you're telling me they don't look like they're PFP? Oh, damn, this dude's actually... no, I'm just playing. But this has been a blast, my man. Mm-hmm. I really appreciate you, what you're doing for the space. And again, really thankful that you had me on. It feels strange to be on the other side of the mic. Yeah, dude. Yeah. I did a podcast.
Was this your first guest appearance?
For Web3, yeah. I did it some for music back in the day, but as a Bunzy. Yeah.
Let's go. You guys heard it here first. You heard Bunzy here first, and maybe you saw him here first. So
oh wow, you got a lot of first, dude. This is nice.
This is what we call a historic NFT.
Cool.
All right, Buns.
Thanks, everyone.
I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys for listening and watching. We'll see you next time.